What's the craziest thing you've gotten away with? While in high school, I wanted to buy some alcohol for my best friend's birthday, but not only was I a minor, I was broke, like negative account balance broke. So what did I do? I walked into a big ass major chain grocery store, studied the clerk's movements, like some kind of a stealth game, then walked to the alcohol aisle, grabbed 2 boxes of 24 can, and just walked out of the store to the parking lot where other friends were waiting in the car, ready for extraction. The first heist gave me a huge adrenaline rush, but the next one was easier, and the next 10 trips even more so, and they were always to the same store. I still can't believe I didn't get caught. When I was 13 and 14, I went on these adrenaline runs in the early morning, like 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I would go to the woods and make a small fire, kill a squirrel, cook it and eat it. It was private property and there was a curfew. When I was younger, I had my mum order an ant farm for me. Now, there were 2 options, normal ants and fire ants. You can guess which one I wanted. Mum buys me the fire ants because I'm a good kid and we, living in SoCal, have no ducking idea what fire ants are even about. I'm sure it's just a name that sounds cool or something. Ants arrive. Holy a duck, yes. I set up the farm, fill it with ants, and set it carefully outside. As per said mum, you can't keep that in the house. I love my ants and take the best of care of them. My brother, however, is a little lit, and he accidentally kicks them over while playing basketball. Ants escape. Oh no. But what do we care? They're ducking ants, right? Actually no. Turns out that I caused one of the little stars on this map. Whoops. Edit. Obligatory gold thanks. What do I do with it? Running through the jungle to escape Vietnamese guards who were intending to turn us in for trying to climb Mt. Fansipan, highest peak in Indochina, without a permit. Either that or hitting a man with a cheeseburger while driving 45 miles per hour. I once stole a pain or chocolate from Sainsbury's. It was in the same bag as a croissant and I told the self-service checkout about the croissant, then had to put the bag in the bagging area. The machine was none the wiser. I sauntered out of there like a methodica. Junior year of high school. I never turned in an essay that was worth a large percentage of my English grade. When my teacher called me over while she was entering grades into the computer and asked about it, I used my excellent lying skills to act completely confused. Because of course I turned it in, and what was she talking about? Because I had always been an awesome student. She thought it was her fault and that she had lost it. She told me she actually did remember reading it and typed a 95/100 into the online grading system. It must have been one hell of an imaginary essay. My parents, me, and my 2 sisters once escaped through the Iron Curtain in the middle of the night via a train we were not supposed to be on. From Poland to West Germany. I had no idea what was happening. We all thought we were going on a vacation to Yugoslavia. That's what my parents told everyone. Me, my sisters, their parents, friends, family, co-workers. And next thing you know, we're in a West German immigration camp. It was a very crazy family journey. We now live in Canada and love it here. While at a wedding, I drunkenly climbed onto the roof of the bar we were at and stole a shingle. I then proceeded to take the shingle back into the bar, place it on the seat next to me, and call it my new drinking buddy. Went on Disney.com without my parents' permission. Me and wife were on honeymoon in Malaysia. It was Chinese New Year's holiday and we were in Genting Highlands. There was a huge convention center which was hosting a huge Chinese lunch buffet and stage show. Chinese people bought expensive tickets to it. Me and wife went to the bouncer and asked if we could just take a look inside. He said okay, go on. Don't take too much time. We rolled in. It was extravagant and huge and decorated awesomely with food tables on the side with every imaginable Asian food goodie. It was lunchtime and we were hungry. Once the food started serving, we also went with the flow and I had the best original Chinese food in my life. All sorts of goodies. After having a good time, we went through the exit. All this time we were feeling very nervous. Just as we were about to disappear, the bouncer called us and said wait. My heart came to my throat. He said, here, have 2 complimentary Chinese oranges for each of you, it's for all the guests. I was like, thank you good sir. Then we disappeared from sight. D. I made a huge ducking hole in the wall of my parents' garage. I screwed a pin board in the wall over the top of the hole and no one seemed to question it. In grade 3 I lit my school's field on fire with some matches I found. I ran away and it got put out. I was a ducking stupid kid. I used to bring knives to school. Not because I wanted to stab anyone, but I just carried knives around and would forget. I realize now with how serious they are about weapons in schools, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. Busted open an ATM with a couple of buddies while drunk. It was actually way easier than you would think. Not really the craziest thing I've done, but I got out of a speeding ticket, about 15 over, by telling the cop that I was just excited to see my brother again since he just got back from deployment. Some people will say that was pretty scummy of me to lie about, but for something I came up with while the cop was walking to my car I thought it was pretty good. Absolutely nothing. For everything I have ever done wrong I was punished fully and immediately. I am currently serving 8 life sentences simultaneously at 6 different prisons. I've also been executed twice. True story. When I was 17 or 18 years old I was in Germany with some friends. We were drinking at a bar and after that we went back to our camping site. On the way back to the camping site we wanted to take a traffic sign. So I hopped on someone's shoulders and started unscrewing the traffic sign. Then one of my friends says that he saw a police car passing us by. So we started running away and I ran away from my friends and hid in the bushes. The cops came back and started searching for us in the bushes I was in with flashlights and everything. I could see their shoes since I was looking down. After 5 minutes or so they drove off. That was also the quickest I went from drunk to sober because of all the adrenaline. TL. DR got drunk, wanted to take a traffic sign home, cops drove by, hid in the bushes, never got caught. I sold sugar and ecstasy pills for over 2 years. Never got caught by the law. My closest encounter was when I got stopped by the police for drinking in public. Sidewalk next to my friend's house. I had my car parked a few houses down. They identified it by the logo on my keys and proceeded to check the inside for any kind of illegal items. I had 10 baggies with sugar stashed in the gas chamber. They searched everywhere but there. That was the closest I got to ever getting caught. To clarify, it was done by the Los Angeles sheriffs. So if you expected any kind of respect of the law from them, tough luck toots. I already knew that what they were doing was illegal, but since they had me over a barrel with the public drinking and I had a load of coke in the gas tank, I figured it's best to keep my mouth shut, and if I were to get caught I should just lawyer up and hope for the evidence to be dismissed. Jesus ducking Christ, guys. Gas chamber equals where you pump the gas into. I used to open up the flap and keep my drugs hidden in there. In the years that I sold I never had a cop search there. It's a good place to hide stuff, but not guaranteed 100% effective. I don't know if it's crazy, but it's my favorite thing I've gotten away with. I was apartment hunting in LA and found this cottage that I liked pretty well. It was pretty convenient to work, the perfect size, and offered a lot of privacy. The only problem was that the landlady struck me as someone who would make me miserable, and I wasn't all that keen on the actual location. But it was in my budget and I did not have a lot of time to work with. So I signed the lease and gave her half of the deposit, with the agreement that I'd pay the rest of the deposit at move-in. Just by chance, I happened across a Craigslist ad for another place in a much better location that was even more perfect for me, even knowing that I shouldn't. I drove up to see the place and fell in instant love and knew I had to have the place. The question was, how do I get out of the lease without losing my deposit? Based on some of the stuff the landlord had said, even a day late on rent was considered unacceptable, etc. I devised a plan. I called her and confirmed that I'd be moving in on the 1st, but asked if she'd be willing to give me 5 extra days to pay the remainder of the deposit. If she wanted, I said, I'd wait until I'd paid to move in, but with the holidays and everything, I was just a little short of the rest of the money. She was instantly icy and told me no, she wasn't interested in waiting for the deposit, and as a matter of fact, she felt it would be best if I just picked up the deposit I'd already left and cancelled the lease. So I did exactly that and moved into my dream place instead. Signed up for 18+ Neopets account when I was 13 without faxing my parents' permission. It I thought I was such a badass. Somehow I made it through education half-assed, and I mean half-assed, and landed a pretty sweet job, compared to some friends who took education seriously but couldn't make it in the end. This is crazy. When I was in 8th grade, my school had nature trails and secret paths in the woods behind the school. No students were allowed in there, so naturally, the woods were packed with kids during lunch. One day, I was wearing a red jacket with a blue shirt underneath, and was walking through the woods. Then, a dean rounds the bend about 100 yards in front of me and sees me cause of my red jacket. He yells something at me and I take off running towards the school. This particular dean had it out for me and my friends for some unknown reason. So I knew my punishment would be harsh if I got caught. When I was within a maze of portables, I rounded a corner and took off my jacket and threw it under the portable. Then I whipped out my UGO and started pretending like I was playing with some 7th graders who were sitting on the ground and who saw the whole thing. About 30 seconds later, the dean rounds the corner and almost overlooks me, but then tries to take me to the office. The kids I were playing with started yelling back at him saying how I was here the whole time and some other kid with a red jacket ran through there a second ago. So the dean kinda looks at me for a second, then runs towards where we said to go. I murdered a co-worker at the zoo. He was a friend, and I feel bad. No one believes me, and it cost me my job, but it was an accident. I forgot to close the inner gate the night before. The inner gate is to keep the animals from escaping or attacking you when you first enter. You enter through one gate, close it, then open the inner gate and enter the cage proper. He went in to feed them and opened the outer door, then screamed as they rushed him. They're smart animals, and I guess they were just waiting for that other gate to open. I looked up the moment I heard him scream and laughed my ass off as a murder of 35 crows escaped through the gate he'd just opened. I murdered my friend by accident. Once when I was younger, around our late teens, me and a group of friends would get together and just hang around. We all lived in a small town, and like you may guess, we would get up to no good from time to time. Anyway, one day me and my friends were coming out of Burger King or something similar, and I saw a police car sitting parked next to the road. I went up to it to see if anyone was inside, but there wasn't. The car was left on and the keys were still inside. Seeing that I was young and incredibly stupid, I decided it would be a good idea to get in the car. I looked around to see where the policeman was, but I couldn't see him. Anyway, I jumped in the car and started driving it. My friends were just standing outside in disbelief at what I was doing. Anyway, I took it for a short spin feeling incredibly cool, until I arrived back outside the restaurant. I parked it in the same spot and got out. Almost as soon as I closed the door, the policeman walked out of the front door a couple of shops over and called out for me to get away from that car. I said I was sorry and we all walked off, free and with my friends calling me an idiot. It was a good day. TLDR, was young, stole and joyrode a cop car and got away scot-free. Once I was really drunk and closed a 4-lane road with fences from a nearby building site in the middle of the night. A police car came just when I was about to leave and started chasing me. I was on my bike and pedaled away as fast as I could. I had a head start of no more than 30 meters. I made it around the corner and was out of sight of the police car for no more than 4 seconds. I stopped, hid my bike in some bushes, took off my coat, turned around and just started walking towards the police car. The police car just drove past me, noticing me but not understanding I was the same person. I could hear the police car driving through the neighborhood trying to find me, while I just quietly walked away. I returned 2 hours later to retrieve my bike. Really felt like Jason Bourne doing that, and I am still amazed I came up with this plan and executed it so flawlessly. I faked my bachelor's degree and yet successfully enrolled in a master's program. Currently in my second term with mostly A grades. One summer I almost made my father lose his mind. He's always been obsessed with the health of the grass in the yard and how perfect and green it is. If there's a shred of discoloration or crabgrass, he's all over it immediately. So one night when I had been drinking with my friends, I went out and peed in the lawn. For no particular reason and not out of spite. I just has to go. A few days later, big yellow patch of dead grass appeared where I had peed. My dad flipped out, completely puzzled as to where it came from. He put an entire bag of sod on it with the assumption the grass would grow back. Thinking his obsession with it was funny, I snuck out at night and peed all over it again. This cycle of my dad flipping out and me watching his hysterics trying not to laugh and continuing to pee on the spot went on for an entire summer. The grass never grew back that year and his entire summer was spoiled. He still brings it up to this day, puzzled about it could have been. Back in the early 90s, when I was 19-20, I made and sold fake IDs. New Jersey driver's licenses were super low tech and it was easy to make good quality fakes with consumer grade technology at the time. They finally updated them to make them more secure just a few years ago. Large foam core replica of the license for people to stand in front of. The lettering for their name and address done by inkjet and glued on with rubber cement so it could be easily peeled off and replaced with the info of the next customer. Take a Polaroid, cut it out, put a duplicate back on it. The hologram was a light dusting of gold spray paint applied through a stencil. Laminate, cut out and round the corners. Bob's your uncle. I knew female customers could just flirt their way past a suspicious bouncer, but for my male customers I also made selective service cards they could provide as backup, which had phony info identical to their fake license. No idea what they look like now, but the cards back then had green printing, with the person's info in black ink, and no photo. I didn't have a color printer, so I blew out a black ink cartridge and refilled it with green ink using a syringe. I had to run a piece of cardstock through my printer 4 times, once for each side and each color, and then cut it out. TLDR forgery of state and federal documents. On a 3-hour drive back to college, got stopped on a 65 going 83 at 11:30 p.m. Had a ½ ounce of shrooms, a 1/4 of weed, and a 1/5 of vodka in my backpack and only given a warning. When I was very young and extremely poor, with a baby, my grocery budget was $50 to $80 per week. Milk and meat were the 2 most expensive items I purchased. No formula. I nursed for as long as she would take the breast. I would always put my gallon of whole milk under the cart, on the flat rack. Didn't pay for milk for probably a year that way. Felt guilt and shame every single week. But I was in a very bad situation and literally didn't eat some days. Milk at least had plenty of calories so I could keep producing breast milk. I always figured if I got caught, I would just pull the "oh, I forgot and didn't see it" down there and pay the $2.99 gracefully. My life is so completely different. Escaped abuse now, but I am dedicated to living my life being overly honest. I will not even slow roll through a stop sign on a deserted road in the middle of the night to make up for the bad karma, and contributing much time and household items to the women's shelters that saved me.